if your city organized a town meeting where everyone was there and the mayor was compelled by the Lord to ask you to share with the city for a few minutes on the gospel, if you had that opportunity, what would you say in that short amount of time? How would you approach that opportunity?
I would, myself, I would take one verse out of the Bible that lends itself to being unpackaged in a series of direct points. I would take a verse that's very evangelistic, like John 3:16, and I would say in that brief time, after quoting that verse, I would say, here is a love talked about. Not hate in a world of hate, here is a love. Who is it that's expressing this love? It's the God of the universe expressing this love. How is he loving? He's loving so much. Who is he loving? He's loving the world of men. What is he motivated to do by this love? He's motivated to give. That's grace. He's motivated to a gracious act. What is that gracious act? He gives his Son. Which Son? His only Son. And what is the purpose? To save those that are perishing. What are they perishing for? They're perishing for their sins, high treason against the God of heaven. What do they get in exchange? They get eternal life. What's required for them to receive this eternal life? They've got to believe. They've got to exercise saving faith in that Son. You see, I would take that verse. It lends itself to being taken apart, and it produces driving points that are like a hammer driving in a nail, one right after the other, the same end. And I would take that verse. You can do it. I just did it here in 2 minutes. I don't need 5. And you can preach Christ from it. There are so many verses in the Bible that are so good for that. You've got 1 Peter 2, for Christ also died for sins once, the just for the unjust, once for all, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to God. That verse, it just lends itself to those driving points. He made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, to become sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. You can see how it's just there. It's saying, preach me, one point at a time. So I would do that. That's the best that I could do. They don't need to hear my testimony. I'd turn the Bible loose on them.